For 30 years, I hunted the man who murdered my husband.
We fought for North Carolina, we fought for Illinois, and we fought for every state in this union.
Negro civil rights leader Medgar Evers was shot early this morning outside his home at 2336 Guine Street in Jackson. The shooting occurred.
Much of the history of Mississippi could be told in the lives of these two men, my husband and his killer, the murdered and the murderer.
Now we're going to stay here and see that the things that the mayor has said become a reality.
The widow of civil rights leader Medgar Evers has no doubt who tracked and killed her husband 30 years ago in Mississippi.
In almost every county, people could get away with murder, and they did. It was like open season, hunting season. Good luck, because there are plenty of them out there.
For years, she hunted a white supremacist called Byron de la Beckwith. To the Ku Klux Klan, he's a hero. To Mrs. Evers, he's simply a murderer.
I believe in extermination of all that opposes the white, right Christian side of every issue. White power! White power! It's like Martin Luther King. You know, nobody has had any trouble with Martin Luther King since they put him in the coffin. You see? Well, same thing happened to Medgar.
Twice, Mrs. Evers watched Mississippi courts let Beckwith go free. She was determined he would at last be punished.
The bullet hit him in the back, crashed through his body, through a window into the house. He died within an hour at a Jackson hospital. They have found a rifle in the bushes which they think is the murder weapon. They say they also have other clues.
Entering Mississippi in those days was like leaving America behind.
Without first reaffirming fully my absolute and unshakable stand for segregation of the races at all levels.
There is no state with a record that approaches that of Mississippi in inhumanity, murder, brutality, and racial hatred.
Black people knew to stay in their place, and that place was to get out of town before dark and go to the back door.
Everything, from schools to beaches, was segregated. In the early 1960s, no white man had ever been convicted of killing a black in Mississippi.
Dare you challenge anyone in that system at that time, you knew that your life was gone.
In this racially obsessed society, two young men grew up. Byron de la Beckwith, as he pronounced it, was part of an old Southern family. Medgar Evers, raised not far away, shared none of his privileges. The Evers lived in Decatur, Mississippi. When Medgar was still a boy, his father's best friend was lynched, tied to a pickup truck and dragged through town.
Medgar would talk of the kind of laughter, the sick laughter of those who were around watching the lynching take place.
Evers saw the man's body under a tree. In just 70 years, 530 blacks had been lynched in Mississippi. In another small town, the white boy, Byron DeLay Beckwith, was growing up. His father was a farmer who married a girl from Greenwood in the Mississippi Delta. Greenwood called itself Cotton Capital of the World. The cotton industry was booming. It produced great wealth for some. Beckwith's family had a modest plantation where he says he was the only white boy.
And so I was perfectly at home everywhere, and I loved, enjoyed being around with the Negro children, and they didn't seem to think anything was the matter with me except